There we go. Let's try it again. Hi there, I'm Flintworth. Welcome to the Graveyard Gush, the show where me and my friends, well, usually me and my friends, take the time to just talk about and geek out over our favorite nerdy, typically horror things. And today I really wanted to go and talk about Haunted by Daylight, the latest event in Dead by Daylight. Now, this is an event that just dropped this week, and I, being a fan of horror and just the whole world of just asymmetrical games like Dead by Daylight, it's been surprising me online how much just like hate and critiques have been seen for it, mainly off of Reddit. Now, I've been playing this game, gosh, since it first came out back in, like, was it 2017, 16? Let me double check. Hey, I'm probably not gonna like this news, but Dead by Daylight. Yeah, this game came out, 2016. Which was roughly 9 years ago. It'll be 10 years. 10! Next summer, June 14th. Which is wild to me, because this game is old enough that, pardon my French, that's, like, long enough that when it first came out, that the people who now are just learning how to drive or just turning 18, becoming full-fledged adults, were 8 years old when this game first came out back in 2016. A decade worth of content. That is wild to me, and it's incredible to see it grow as much as it has, despite many of its competitors, going the way of the dodo. Like, how many of you remember playing, I'm not just saying, seeing, but I remember playing when it first came out, the Friday the 13th video game. Me, I was one of its original backers back in, I want to say 2014, 15? I think it was 15. When that came out, like, that was the best asymmetrical horror game. I mean, you got to play as Jason hunting down your friends, typically at random, and yes, like, very samey maps, but you still kind of got this, like, quintessential horror experience. And to me, it couldn't be topped, despite all the glitches and griefing that soon came from that comes with these kind of games. And I remember when it first came out, and I found friends to play with it online, it was, Jesus fucking Christ, like, some of the, oh, you can see that, pardon me, I was trying to bring up the main page, and then I need to fix my hotkeys at some point. Lost my train of thought. Yes, it, to me, it was the end-all be-all. And I remember back then, gosh, I really have to say back then because it's a decade, how much another friend of mine at the time kept trying to convince me to try out Dead by Daylight. To me, it felt so hollow back then. Like, original OG Dead by Daylight, I'm talking back when the only killers you got to play as was, like, Trapper, the Hag, Nurse, the Phantom? Is it the Phantom? It is the Phantom. And the Shape. Like, 5 killers tops. I think the Huntress was, like, the first big one that was truly coming out at the time. And to me, it felt like a glorified, dark hide-and-go-seek, where, not hide-and-go-seek, it felt more like tag to me. Whereas, like, Jason's game and Friday the 13th, the game, had, like, all these wonderful nuances. You got to have different characters, different, like, perks, which, yes, you also did have in Dead by Daylight, but you got to have all these other options to escape with the different either the boat or the cars, calling the cops, killing Jason, and compared to the same repeat series of fifth gens try escape of Dead by Daylight. To make a long story short, I quickly got bored with Dead and left it. Like, I would play from here and there. I think the last time I truly started playing was right around, I want to say, I think the first Resident Evil stuff just dropped. Even then, I was kind of barely playing it to begin with. I just got bored with it and kind of let the genre altogether, because by that time, Friday the 13th, the game had kind of waved the dodo. The gun basically abandoned it because of litigations and other things, or license issues, they claim. But as time has proven with their other titles of, like, the Predator game and I guess even now Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and to an extent, I think Ilphonic had a hand with these kind of a lot of these titles too. I mean, they have been working together strictly since Friday, but they've been doing very similar games ever since then. That you even saw the same kind of similar rise and sudden fall with Killer Clowns from Outer Space. My point being is that we've had, like, what was that, 2, 3, almost 4 different titles, including Friday, that have come and gone, and yet Dead by Daylight has kept going. And frankly, for the longest time, I thought that was because that it was like the Fortnite of titles, of horror titles. Like, you know, same concept, but just grabbing up every single IP they could possibly bring to the table. And it kind of annoyed me. It kind of, to me, felt like it took away from every other possible, like, you know, spin-off. Like, why can't we have all these things exist in the same universe? Why can't we, you know, let's say for the same, like, player escape? Why can't we see people switching between Killer Clowns and Texas or Friday, and then the upcoming Hellraiser, and I guess even at the time we even had the Evil Dead game that was pretty legit too. And I think it's because, well, two things. One, the developers behind a lot of these licensed titles, you know, either lose them or just can't keep up with the sheer number of content you need to keep making these games to come to life. But I think it's a bigger thing of they can't do crossover stuff. It's like, you can't have, like, suddenly Jason show up in Evil Dead video game because he's not in Evil Dead. Nor can you have, like, in Killer Clowns, a Xenomorph something pop. I think they had Elvira at some point. But it's, I guess it goes out saying that back when I thought Dead by Daylight was simply just like a copycat game of Friday the 13th, yes, true, Jason did show up in Evil Dead comic along with there's always been crossovers, Bracken, with I guess a lot of these characters in different comic book stuff. But video game wise, they're so, like, picky in what they show in their stuff because it's like making a movie almost. But this is why I think Dead by Daylight's be able to stand the test, because it's not any one franchise. No, it's like a celebration of horror in itself. Like, that's what it is. It's not a game really anymore of, like, oh, here's our knockoff Jason Voorhees, the Trapper, basically. No, here we're not trying to take, you know, Friday the 13th money. No, they become that mainstay because it's become a celebration, the whole genre, the characters, the stories. And it's wild how much clear love and attention they give to every piece of thing they put into this. I'm not going to argue that it's always been a clean transition or a balanced transition with a lot of the stuff they drop. But, like, quick side note, like, the sheer amount of hate that came I saw from the dropping of Sinister Grace here with the latest killer. I'm not going to butcher the name again. The Krasu? How do you say that? I tried to meant to check this up. I'll check it out now while I'm thinking of it. Kraus. The Kraus. Okay, it's kind of like Mouse, but Kraus. Yeah, the Kraus killer. Oh, when she dropped, people hated her so much. They still kind of do, but then again, this is all my experiences based what I've seen on Reddit, which I've learned real quickly is quite critical, to put it gently, on anything Dead by Daylight. And I just wanted to, I think that's why I felt like compelled to have this stream, to have this chat, to give my thoughts from a longtime player at this kind of like game format, to kind of like, you know, bring up really how good players have it. Like, this is not me preaching facts. It's his opinion. It's a straight up opinion, and you, by all means, disagree with me. But I feel like it's worth stating, really, just how cool the community they've built up so far. I am curious. See if Bracken here, Wavy Rain so far. Thank you for joining me today, listening in. They need to add Pumpkinhead. I would generally try the game if they did. You know, I could see that. It's crazy the number of characters that have come into this. And I think it's one of the biggest first things I've enjoyed about what they go for, is that they make a point that whatever characters they do add in, that there has to be some element of horror, some connection. It just can't be just dropping things left and right. Like, though it can feel like that at times, I respect that when they do drop it in, there is always the argument that, hey, this is kind of, you know, related to horror. Like, for instance, you know, they had Nick Cage guest star as a character you can play as. Okay, is it a stretch? I guess one hand, yes, it's just straight up Nick Cage. But Nick has been in so many horror flicks. Like, he is the star of Willy's Wonderland. Like, he is the star of Mandy. He's gotten so big into it as of late. It feels so natural, like a fit. Bill from Left 4 Dead. Need to say more there. That's a zombie game. The Witcher characters are in it now. And to me, even those make sense because they're monster hunters. Same with the Castlevania crew. Bracket, okay, I'll proceed to disagree with everything you say. Please do. I don't know. Or don't. It could lead for a fun discussion. I think probably the only character I would see being kind of a stretch being in the game right now is probably Laura Croft. Yes, I mean, they have D&D characters, but those are all tied into Vecna, like the god of death. And D&D has never been shy to have elements of horror in some people's games. Like, hell, a lot of my first videos are talking about how to recreate horror films in D&D. The whole Ravenloft module is horror related. I would love to see Strahd in the game at some point. But they curate things so very well that I would not be surprised at some point to maybe see Pumpkinhead. Like, there could be, on their main page, they are celebrating 60 million players. That is wild. That's insane. Like, that's the kind of numbers other games could dream to have. Sylvia says Hello Kitty would be a great addition to DBD. Maybe, I don't know. I'd be surprised if they would allow it, because one thing I found interesting that people kind of respect, at least license holders wise, that Elvira was brought up this week on the social media circuit. talking about how they did try at one point to get her into Dead by Daylight, but her agent or manager said no, and I think glad to hear that Dad respected it, because they said, and granted, I won't say I quote, but I am paraphrasing here. They didn't want ever to see Elvira like in pain. In pain like that. I respect that, because with a game so heavy in lore, because all the characters they bring in, they do write up this typically extensive background of how they get added into the world that is the fog, controlled by the entity, and all that. Like, there is story behind everything that they do. So the fact they respect other people's stories is great. Like, they had talks with Scott Cawthon for the addition of the animatronic. That would be William Afton. That there was talk about having the other animatronics be different skins you could play as, like you play as Foxy, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, but ultimately they decided against it because Afton is willingly helping cause pain and all kinds of torment. The animatronics aren't inherently evil; like they're just confused lost souls acting out. And it would be against their lore to do that, which I think is so cool and so commendable. They aren't doing the thing I see like Fortnite do, which is just adding everything left and right, regardless of whether it fits in their game. Nope, to them it's just a fancy skin you can play as. She says, "Have you seen the Chucky Hello Kitty?" I have not. I should look it up now. Actually, I'm getting curious. So I guess it's all to say that if the rights holders to Hello Kitty are fine with Kitty getting hurt or causing pain, then we could see it someday. I mean, for goodness sake, Naughty Bear. Do you remember Naughty Bear? That was it feels like a niche game now. Like, I didn't even remember Naughty Bear really truly being a game for a while. Like, yeah, let's see what last time Naughty Bear was. I know it was a killer bear and all that. When was the last time a Naughty Bear game was released? Yeah, because it was a 2010 action game. Let's see. Not met video games Naughty Bear. What was like the Legacy? Okay. Let's see. And so they had a sequel, Naughty Bear Panic in Paradise in 2012. And then 9 years later, Naughty Bear developer Artificial Mind and Movement, now known as Behavior Active. Okay, so they were owned. Got it. So that's why he's in the game, because the makers of Dead by Daylight worked on the original Naughty Bear. Okay, that makes sense now. But still, I could see Naughty Bear Hello Kitty being kind of thing is what I was trying to get at there. All right, so I'm gonna look up the whole Chucky Hello Kitty. Is this an official thing? I mean, Chucky Hello Kitty is everywhere. Chucky Universal Hello. Okay, so it's a toy you could get at some point. Got it. Oh, this must be it. That's kind of fun. Terrifying, but fun. See if we can bring a picture up for you folks watching the stream after the fact. This looks like this is off a store. U.S. Shopping SOS. But there you go. That's actually kind of fun. That says good girls. Cute. So how does all this connect to Haunted by Daylight? Which is the latest event that they are, like I said, putting through on Dead by Daylight. Yeah, having played it a few times myself, I can see why it isn't favorable in some aspects. Like, I will say this for their sake. Love the aesthetic, love the art, love all the Easter eggs hidden throughout this piece. But I've seen a lot of players just angry and upset by how this whole event's being put down. For one, they are up in arms about just like the unlocks you can get from this. Like, only a few shirts that, oh no, don't glow. Two, we got, and I guess, kind of nondescript, I guess, weapons. To me, this doesn't really mean much, the candy wise. But I've seen a lot of people upset by the outfits not being exciting as past ones, nor that, like, the challenges you have to do to unlock some of this stuff is all that easy to do. And I feel like, okay, I get it. The void, as it's called, the void here, it isn't the most kind place to be for those who don't want to do the reading up on it. Effectively, there's a mode now you can play Haunted by Daylight where you can do challenges based on this world here, where you after you run around the map doing various basic actions like repairing generators, being chased, destroying pumpkins, you can enter this spot, this void, realm beyond realms, to go and give up the energy you've collected to get power ups. For survivors, this could be I think they're called void crystals. These little things right here, woof, that allow you to either basically allow you to help you fix generators a bit easier, or you can even use it to create really powerful like smoke bombs, which yes also blind the players, but also makes it really hard for the survivor, the killers to go through. And inversely, the killers get like these little ghosts they can shoot out to either cause players to scream or attack from afar. Like really kind of, I'd say, basic stuff. The big catch is that players who enter here, like the survivors, they can be slowed or hindered by other ghosts like this haunting them around, as well as can't heal in there. The killer also knows they're in there, and it there's challenges to encourage both sides to go in and do various things in this place. And I love, nay, laugh. I was into love. I love and laugh just the sheer amount of hate about how this is played out. Like survivors say that it is a danger zone to go into. Like it is so anti-player. Why would I go into here to get swapped left and right by these haunt ghosts? Why would I go and basically draw the killer to me? Meanwhile, the killer's like, gosh, I hate this whole void thing. I lose track of the players. I have to go and typically leave hunts to go get them in the spots, less and let the survivors get powerful items to make them win faster. It's just like, Jesus. There's no winning. There's no winning. And I, being a gamer of 20-some years, find it funny because a lot of this reminds me of the old TF2 events. And hi, Phantom. Welcome. Welcome to my little evening chat about Dead by Daylight. Bracken, I see, yeah, that's a very apt point. Yes, yes, yes. People getting angry over something small is an American pastime. And you're right. You're right. And I do want to point out, I do realize that a lot of this, all this anger I'm seeing, ultimately could have a lot to do with the fact that I've been reading, essentially in a bubble on Reddit. I totally get that people's complaints with Haunted by Daylight can be very much one-sided. That there's very few people, saying good things because the bad things are what trends. Negative reviews always trends better than good. People enjoy good thrashing online. Well, that's not me. I'm here to empower it, I guess, because for all its faults, all its glitchiness, and what have you, I admire what they've done here. And I will admit, this is the first Halloween event I've played in a long while. But I guess that's why I feel kind of inspired by it all. Because I mentioned earlier, I hadn't really played Dead by Daylight for the longest time. Part of it has to do because I didn't really have much friends to play with, but it's also mainly due to me trying to stream ages ago back at our apartment and having the absolute worst time. I didn't realize the whole thing that a lot of smart TVs these days have a function that you need to hit to make it better for games. It basically creates, left on default, most TVs these days kind of create like this lag input that can be quite troublesome. If you play games like Dead by Daylight, they have a lot of quick time events. It ruined my experience at the time. I kept missing everything, got my ass handed to me, and I ultimately kind of swore off Dead by Daylight for a good solid 3 years. That is until this year, a few months ago, on a whim, kind of mostly bored, but just curious to check out the game. I built this PC I'm streaming on, and I wanted to look into games I could play, and I just, on a whim, started Dead by Daylight. It was during the 2v8 event, which I streamed earlier, and I was very impressed. I saw all those new characters I've mentioned that I was really impressed that they brought in. I was surprised by just how fresh the game felt. Like, gone were the days of me feeling like I was doing the same old, like, basic series of tasks. Like, yes, I still have to go and fix Jenny's as a survivor. Yes, I still have, hunt survivors down as a killer. But what was different was the nuances that every killer brought to the game. Do you know what I mean? Well, if maybe not, depending if you play the game or not. But every killer, because of behaviors, planning and hard work, each had their own kind of like twist on the formula. Like, for instance, I got into it playing Nemesis a lot. He creates like 2 zombies that wander the field that you have to kind of contend to with on top of dealing with Nemesis. Chucky, he is a fast, tiny little bugger that you have to keep an eye out for. The Xenomorph, you can set up like turrets to slow them down, but also let you know when they're getting close. Like, all these little things, these elements that only give you extra things to play with, but also just like to spice it up. And with how many killers there are now, it means that almost no 2 games are the same, and I love that. And hey, Lodom, glad you're here. I know that these kind of games aren't for everyone. It could be much like it can be repetitive for some people. It can not be as exciting as some narrative kind of stuff, but I guess that's where I kind of like, maybe it's the DM in me, maybe it's the storyteller, the horror fan, but I can see the story play out with some of these things. Like, yesterday I was playing last night as Tiffany, the bride of Chucky, and I was chasing down a group of survivors who decided to play as a bunch of Resident Evil characters, and it was fun to watch how the different players were using perks that were tied to their characters, and we're almost like playing up, we're almost like role playing, I should say, the crew while I was talking to this Tiffany. It felt like a wonderful but very conceptual, like, Elseworlds meetup, if I was going to borrow a phrase from DC. And I dig that. I love that. I think it's the magic of Dead by Daylight compared to other games. I'm going to pick on Fortnite once again, where in that game you can see a Xenomorph using a gun, shooting off Goku while being chased by a Megazord and Power Rangers. Where Fortnite feels like someone basically upended their toy bin, shook it out, and are now just going hog wild, creating the wild, like, ultimate battle of destiny, which I do recognize and do acknowledge it could be a lot of fun in its own right. But Dead by Daylight's kind of hodgepodge of different properties feels more like, for me, I guess, I don't see like a game master kind of situation, but definitely feels on theme and on brand. Like, it's definitely a game designed by fans of the genre, ideally for those equally so. And for some reason, the competitiveness of it, I think, kind of takes it away from for some people. No. And that's a shame, because the game itself has brought me a lot of fun the last 2 months. Like, I make it no... What's the word I'm looking for here? What's the word? Like, I try to make it no secret that I've been playing this game quite a bit. I've streamed it a few times. I've, like... I've been playing basically nightly for a while now. And... and unbeknownst to me, I had played it enough. Do I still have the screenshot, I wonder? Oh, there it is. I've been playing it enough, it turns out, to get to some of the higher tiers in Dead by Daylight. Yeah, apparently there's tiers that they reset every, like, the 13th of each month, and you get like rewards for it. And somehow during all of that hullabaloo, me just playing the game, enjoying myself, getting lost in the lore and the world, I had managed, let's see if this works, I had managed to make it to tier 4 for the killers and tier 3, which is gold, for survivors. So basically the second highest and highest tiers respectively back for each style of play. Now, I'm not sure if that is like a mark of my skill, but definitely it's a mark of how much I've been playing these games lately. Yeah, I forgot about this too. I frankly just skip right past them because I just enjoy the chase. I don't care about winning. I just enjoy the stories we can tell. There's been a lot of fun stories I've seen. And when I say stories, I say like the story of how the game unfolds. Because that's one thing I feel like a lot of, I don't want to say players, but game masters, myself included, tend to forget that whenever it comes to running any kind of game, whether it's virtual, tabletop, or board, that a story can play out in how people play your game. And each one in Dead by Daylight is different. You could get a game of total goofballs who just want to go and, for whatever reason, harass the killer or do dances. I played one game where a bunch of them kept trying to serenade me using bard skills from the D&D characters. I played a game as a survivor where the killer was the Queen Xenomorph, who was hunting us down, but also like judgmentally like staring us down, making sure we did our quick time events right. Like, I'm not sure, they were like a cat playing with us, which I think made me more terrified as I was sitting there trying my best, trying to do skill checks while the queen stood behind me disapprovingly. Okay. Oh, thank you, Phantom. Yeah, I'm so surprised I made it to... I didn't make it to the tippy top killer grade, because it's, I guess how that it works is, like, every tier, you kind of start, like, that's the killer grade's probably the best example. Like, I just got into the level tier 4 at grade 5. Like, the tippy top would be tier 4 with, like, 1 pip. So, I was working my way up. But it's... I guess I want to show that, like, that I'm not just coming out of the blue here. I've been playing a lot of this game recently. I guess that's why I'm so excited and have been enjoying Haunted by Daylight. I love the Halloween factor to it all. The spooky ghosts, the nonsense of running through, I guess you could pick a location, a Raccoon City Police Department, having to stop to go chase someone in a ghost dimension. And maybe while I'm there, get a power-up that allows me to occasionally shoot ghosts from my nipples. What's not to love from that? Yes, I can't guarantee I'll win every time. No, do I happen to get said ghost shooting nipples every time. But damn, does it make for some fun scenarios and chases. Because that's, to me, that is like the true art of any horror. Is that you can't, have it where one-side wins all the time. Like, if killers won every single time, the game would kind of lose its horror, its tension, because it's just, guaranteed death. It'd become a tragedy, and you can't always have the survivors win because you, once again, lose the horror. It become more of a comedy as they go and Scooby-Doo around Ghostface. You would think that potential, that balance of like being able to go from one way to the other, that I feel like a lot of these events, do really well, whether it's intentionally or otherwise. What's kind of I'm seeing here? Every round is a story, and I like that analogy. Yes, me too. I mean, I said it, so duh, I like it. And I appreciate what that does. I appreciate having that little extra random nonsense that adds to the title of, I need to keep an eye on a second dimension, because I like to use a lot of perks that allow me to see the player's auras if I do certain things. And there's nothing more terrifying for me as a killer to be playing this mode and suddenly wondering, okay, I activated one of my powers. Why can't I see them? Oh shit, they are probably in this goddamn void right here. So I go over there to find out, oh no, they're not. Fuck, they fooled me again. Back 10 years ago when I first played this game, that would annoy the crap out of me. Now, as a more, maybe it's wisdom, maybe it's age, I don't know. But I like that. It feels like a story. And I adore that. I adore that. The aesthetics of it all is really freaking cool in my opinion. Yes, I guess it's the same design I've used time and time again. Now it's just been more of an orange palette. But I dig it. I dig the fact that DBD itself takes place in kind of like a shadowy Eldritch Horror's turf dimension. Basically, it's almost like a dreamland of nightmares where both the survivors and killers are kind of put into this constant cycle of terror and hope building and all that, because that's how the entity, the creature that draws all these things in, feasts. And I like seeing things like this once in a while that reminds people of that, because you really don't truly see that the fact that you could be in Haddonfield with Michael Myers' old neighborhood and be totally kind of caught up in the fact you're there, you're in Haddonfield, Illinois, and isn't really until you kind of look over past the field and realize, oh no, this is just like a pocket dimension. You're in a little side corner of Terrorverse, I don't know. But I like that. It's cool, and it's eerie to be chasing someone as all these characters, and then suddenly find yourself in this whole nightmarish place, and it's different. And it's only around for, I guess now 18 more days. 18. That's basically 2.5 weeks, because when it started, it was like 20 days. So it's still barely 2.5 weeks. And to see people complaining like the state of the game is ruined is wild to me. Like, okay, I get it, you're upset. It's going to be gone soon enough. You don't have to worry about it too much. Plus, the lore of all this is happening over and over again for the entity enjoyment of food is so cool, if you ask me. Agreed. Because it adds in that little extra layer that why this keeps going on forever. It really is true. There's really truly no end to this. And every, match is its own part of that tale. Not to say they don't have been dropping lore left and right for ages now, thanks to other challenges, but I haven't really got into that too much just yet. I'm still just trying to get all my characters to a point where I like them. And there's another thing I would kind of say I really have been impressed by Dead lately is the fact that they have cross progression between all copies. Granted, I have to buy certain things at certain places to make sure I get it for all my editions, but I did this when I went on a con in Des Moines. Everything I've unlocked and done on my PC version, I can do and enjoy on my Switch version. That is immensely nice to me. I love that. I save on money. I don't have to have a Switch Deck, and I would love to have not Switch Deck. I'd love to have a Steam Deck one of these days. And I appreciate that of them. I really like that. because meant that all the progress I had from the days I played this game back in the PS3 days, I now have here now on Steam. Oh, chef's kiss, because I personally was not going to be a fan of having to rebuy all this crap. You like being nothing like for like 2 weeks though. Yeah, but here's the other thing, Lodum. This mode, entirely optional. Entirely optional. Like, you can still play vanilla DVD on the side. Like, if you don't like it, you can still play your game. It's not gonna ruin your luck too much. And I see a lot of the complaints seem to be different people who are struggling with it, and I respect that. And I don't want to go and like naysay what they're feeling, because they're right. This shit is rough. And there's enough players. There's 60 million of them playing this game actively at the same time. I don't know, but there's certainly enough. I rarely have to wait more than maybe a minute for a game. It's wild. I know, but you don't have a dog in the fight, but you do bring in valid points. Like, yes, and that's the thing. Like, my gushing, my opinion, I don't want to go and, like, say they shouldn't be upset. They should. There's parts of it, like I said, like, it's that even I know I'm kind of a fan of. Like, the fact you get an item that this little shit, smoke bomb, is quite powerful, like, but also it's blinds all players that I do not like, because I've lost many a chase because of it. What I'm saying is, let's put it in perspective, I guess, because some of them I've been seeing like it is the end of times, like behavior. I've been seeing some people say they should just sell the game. It's like, really sell it. Okay, I guess they haven't like really worked on the event as well as they could have, but sell it? Okay, that seems kind of harsh. Yeah. Hey, Lindo. How's it going? It's going fine. Just don't mind me just gushing about Dead by Daylight, then dropping my opinions like 10,000 other schmoes on here. But you know, not every schmo has a fun green light and a vintage Riddler McDonald's cup. But back to the complaint. So actually, no, how rude of me. How are you doing, Lindo? You caught me in the middle of just kind of both praising and critiquing the latest Haunted by Daylight. I'm only 7 subs away. Thank you. Yeah, I know. It's been a long road getting to that 1K. But I'm proud of it. You know, it's been a long climb, but it's going to be a fun climb getting there to the final 1K. We're at the 993rd subscriber. If so, thank you. Welcome. What's your favorite brand of ice cream? No. I'm assuming you've I'm also doing a great. I hit a major milestone recently. Oh yeah, what would that be? Hope it's one that doesn't get me in trouble for asking. Hopefully it's a wholesome one. I like wholesome milestones. Guess I'll find out in a few seconds. What was I going to say? 50 subs, nice. I remember that feeling. 50, yeah. I'll have to go and sub back after this. Want to make sure I don't lose my train of thought and keep on talking. But, well, actually, no, I'm curious, Lindo, because you're a new name here, new face. I don't know if you've had you before. Like, what are your thoughts? I mean, have you played a lot of Dead by Daylight? Have you gotten a chance to do Haunted by Daylight? Like, what's your take on it so far? Because I'm curious. I'm also excited for them to bring back 2v8 in apparently November. You know what I'm really impressed by is how they've streamlined a lot of like the leveling up side of things. One of my earliest complaints when Dead by Daylight first came out was the sheer amount of like blood points you needed to get just to make sure every character had like the best perks you wanted to use. They had to go through first to unlock them on the main character, then get them in the blood webs of every other character. Then you need to go and level up those characters enough to go and get them to have those perks. it was maddening. Like the sheer amount of gameplay you have to do would be insane. So the fact now you have just all you have really to do is prestige a character like 3 times, and then their perks, the best versions of those perks, are unlocked in every other character. Is chef's kiss. Love that. It allows me to focus more on just trying out different characters, and less on trying to save up and use my XP carefully. No, I love how they streamlined that. I also don't mind this event. Okay, even though it's the same as last year, but still better than the anniversary event. Yeah, the anniversary one was kind of short. It was very short, actually. Like, I haven't been around for many of the anniversary stuff. I've only got really back into the game heavily the last 2 months. But I'm excited to see where they go from this. I hear that the Christmas ones are always a lot better. But yeah, I don't even mind it that much. I anything. I don't like. I'm not like a raving fan of it, but I appreciate the change up. Like, it feels like this game's content and rollout of stuff is so like active that if you ever get sick of anything, you just wait like maybe a few weeks and something new comes out, or something else kind of shakes up a bit. Like when I first got back into it was the 2v8 event period. Then came out Walking Dead, then the Kraus, then the anniversary, then the Halloween event. Like, I love that. Awesome, great. Love it when those games that I enjoy do that. Like the same thing with Final Fantasy XIV, which I think the All Saints Wake is coming up soon. I need to go back and check out. But no, as a man who loves his variety, I appreciate that. Keep that up, behavior. I should, take a point to say that this game can be expensive. I think that's one complaint I do honestly have. You recently got back to the Spring chapter. Yeah, I as well. I was probably why I wanted to check it out, because I wanted to see finally, how they pulled off Old Springy, and I enjoyed it. It was cool. I think I was looking for something to springboard off of doing Into the Pit finally, that I figured, okay, I'll try out Springtrap as another FNAF thing, because FNAF always does well on YouTube. And I think that's kind of what got this all started today. But the outfits, the Halloween outfits, I see a lot of people kind of grumbling about. The free ones, yeah, I could be a bit better, but I appreciate that they've also went and discounted everything else right now, because oy vey, can that stuff get expensive. And it's made it tempting to kind of not go through and buy up all the stuff I've been waiting for. But I do admire some of the design choices. You know what? While we're talking about the Halloween stuff, let's bring it up a little. Let's go and look through some of these outfits, because I think it's a part of talking about Haunted by Daylight here. Also, I just want a reason to look at the pretty outfits, pretty shirts. I know that with this economy, this stuff can get expensive, and which is why I usually try to pace myself in anything I do get. But one of my biggest surprises I got when I came back to the game. I can get you to 160 subs if you want. I appreciate that. I mean, if they're like alt accounts, that's, I don't know if you people have done that. I can't stop you. But personally, I don't mind like the slow and steady way. Like, I've always been of the mindset that I much rather, if people do follow me, it's not like out of payment. I've had friends or family offer like, hey, you want me to buy a few subs? Like, no. I've also seen people can do other things that kind of gimmicks, like, oh, I'll keep streaming for the amount of subs I get. Like, when I first started, I kind of liked the idea of that, but these days, I kind of like working for everyone that I do grab. Because to me, it means that, well, I want to say I earned it, but I've kind of grown that relationship, I've built it up, but I appreciate that though. Now let's actually make so you guys can see the screen, because I have been playing on my TV a lot lately. Come on. OBS. Boop. Let's do the good of that. Give me this up. Boop. Boop. To do. To manipulate. And then over here, let's make sure this is windowed so I can still read the chat. I like reading the chat. There we go. And doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doo. Yeah. Doesn't know I've subbed to him 991 times. Load him. I'm not sure if you're adjusting me around. I know you wouldn't do that. That would take way too much effort. You've been playing on your TV? How? Oh, I bought a fiber optic HDMI cable that is 50 feet long, fed it through my floor underneath into my basement and out to my TV. It took me about a evening to get that all set up, but I did it. And it's working remarkably well. You know how many fake emails I need to make that? Yeah, it'd be quite a bit. Quite a bit. But anyway, let's take a look at some outfits here. Now, for comparison, I don't look at this. Pardon me. My OCD needs to go and get rid of all these red notifications. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, store. All right. Here's what we're going to go and take a look at. So, actually, I mentioned earlier that the event allows you to unlock certain things. Like, the big one is you get this particular outfit. Can I go here, please? Can I see the whole thing? There we go. You get this really cool kind of poison ivy looking outfit for the Skull Merchant, who apparently is like obsolete or whatever in the meta of the game. Which, okay, I get that, kind of a frustrating choice. But on the flip side, she's not going to be that at all forever. And if you're playing for meta, though, you know what? I shouldn't say that's a choice. I mean, it is, yes, a choice. But as I see it, it's like a case of, yes, you can play to win sometimes, but somebody's got to play for fun. And the few times I have played against a Skull Merchant, she's kind of a cool design and look to her, and I applaud them trying to add some more stuff here. It's not like the TF2 days where you're just getting new hats. No, they put a full-on effort into making that outfit, and it is kind of smexy in some ways. You also got the other, big-time outfit, which is this one for, can I get the whole thing here? For Felix, this kind of fun demon outfit, as well as, these shirt items I mentioned earlier. Now, unlike the first three, the first two full outfits, the Demon and Skull Merchant, I know people are upset they chose her as the one they wanted to give an outfit to, because who uses her? And I can't help but wonder if maybe that's the point. No one's using her. Maybe they're trying to find some way to kind of give you a reason to. Sure, you might be winning as well. You might be doing a rough time, but hey, you're gonna look awesome while doing it. I remember chatting with you about a Steam Link. Yeah, I looked into that Steam Link too. Speaking of the whole TV thing, Roku's, which is what my TV is, doesn't do Steam Links. It's not an app they have. And I know you also mentioned it was a Raspberry, a mini computer thing. My step brother-in-law had one for his kid, my nephew, and I looked at it. One look at it, it's it's more computer building. You know what? I probably could do that. I just wanted a straight up cord, so I just took the time and did that. Cost a little bit, but you know what? The fact I've been playing almost every night on my couch on my nice TV has made it so far very worth it. You hate the Skull Merchant skin. Okay. You know what? Of the sake of, like, when I give all sides of this conversation, like, what don't you like about the Skull Merchant skin? Because I'm curious. Like, I'm legitimately curious. Because of the two, I kind of don't like Felix's as much as I do the Skull Merchant. I'm kind of curious what your take is on it. Is it because it's too tied into, like, the Poison Ivy side of things? And actually, loading your whole HDMI to your TV thing is what kind of inspired me to do mine. I even got the Steam big picture mode worked out too, because it's nice, it's convenient. It allows me to go and play Indiana Jones in the Great Circle on the big screen. But back to the conversation. I wait for Lindo to type. Let's look at other spooky outfits that I wanted to... Yeah, here we go. So, there's a ton of them that have dropped now that you guys have to pay for, but I do adore. Like, I saw the other day this Claudette, which is actually... You really can't tell with this picture. It's a fairy. She's a pixie. It's adorable. I actually had to put her on a hook the other day, and I felt bad for it. It's like, I don't know how to hang up that poor bug. But where are the old school t-shirts that, like, here we go. Here's the other ones people are more, impressed by, which I, admit, I do get it. These are cool. They're glow in the dark. And they're kind of vibrant, too. Like, I've chased a few people wearing, this particular one, the Gabriel one, and, Lyra here with that awesome midriff. Oh, chef's kiss. They're cool, they're great. And while I agree and upset that every character has these kind of awesome glow-in-the-darky shirts, I kind of respect it in the same time, because if everyone had glowy, it kind of like would get the same after a while. So I guess that's where they were kind of coming from with trying to make them all glowy. But maybe they will in the future after this critique. Let's see here. That's adorable. What was adorable? Oh boy. Yeah. As for the killer outfits, though, gosh, the David Pumpkins outfit. I don't play as Ace, but I do love that a lot. But I mainly wanted to bring this up. The fairy skin. Oh yeah, the fairy skin. Yeah. That, if nothing else, if you're not a fan of like the mini outfits, or just any particular one, be happy, or at least I'm grateful. At least somewhat grateful that. Is that Tifa? Keep my ear open. Grateful for the fact that at least they're all on discounts. Not heavy discounts. I mean, some of these are still like $10. Like, but still, some of them are kind of rad. Like, you can play you can play as the Hag, dressed up as like the creature from the Black Lagoon. That's kind of fun. I appreciate that. But, and also the Dwight as the mummy wrapped up in toilet paper is also pretty damn iconic. But this does beg the question that if I had to go and make this do better, because admittedly I do agree there's some places where it's lacking. Like, how would I go about doing it better? I think I would, unfortunately, even though I love variety, I do have to agree that not making every outfit, it's like having that similar glow, it does make you feel kind of left out if that particular survivor is your favorite. I'm reminded of the TF2 zombie skins you can get that pop up during the Halloween season, but also during full moons, that allows you, like, any character, which granted they never added new characters, but still it allows you as any character anytime, look like a being of the undead. That's rad in itself. But ultimately, outside of making sure all the aesthetically every character gets like the same chance to look rad, I will say that why don't you actually take a cue from TF2? Granted, I can see how this might hurt your player base and splitting them up, but why don't you like try to run? If okay, granted, I get it if it's not like distinctly different all the way, but why don't you kind of go and like set it up where you can play as any of the past events? You know what I mean? Like in TF2, you can play on servers. They just rotate between the different stuff, and that's what it is. Maybe you need to rotate between events. Like have like, you know, this is the latest one. This is the 2025, but here are like all the previous haunts you can play in. You know, maybe you won't get as much rewards or whatever, but you can still go and play ones from years past, especially if they're popular. I mean, hell, that's one way to kind of throw people a bone. Like here, you can try out the new, you know, the new Coke. But here's classic Coke. You can also still enjoy, so you still can go and kind of get best of both worlds. And frankly, a lot of games do that still. Like, unless it's story based, I know a lot of games go about having a chance to go back to similar sites and places. Like you spent the time building the maps, building the mechanics, building the assets. You know, why not go and use them as much as you can? You know what I mean? Also, Lindo hasn't said why they don't like Skull Merchants, so either they're writing a treatise or they walked away from the computer. Or I may have lost my new subscriber friend already. No, hope not. They're fun. I like being able to talk to people about DBD. Maybe it's one of the things I should do. Because I know we were asking a bit earlier, or we were talking a bit earlier about the fact that I am so close to 1K. I know lately I've been playing a lot of this, obviously. Been streaming and talking about it for a while now, especially this particular episode. Maybe I should do a night of just playing games with people. Like, you know, come join me play, celebrate 1,000 players. We can go get a couple people together to play Dead by Daylight. You maybe go play some Phasma. Maybe that's gotten better. Any other kind of games that are affordable and popular, because I do like playing with the community, and I frankly like streaming so much as I have now. Like these double stream nights are fun, because my background in entertainment is theater, and a huge part of theater as a performer is kind of feeding off your audience. I love to have that give and take because it adds to the fun. It makes it more personable than just recording things, which I do like a part of. It's definitely more cleaner, tighter, and certainly more polished. But there's something about the little nuances of a live performance that just makes it delicious. Phantom, I see you there. You wrote, maybe older, but I really love the blighted skins, or whatever the killer skins are that have the orange cube mutated in them. Yeah, I think that was related to the blights. Some of those are pretty freaking rad. Like the one they have for the Xenomorph is presently on my list of ones I am eyeing up to maybe splurge on. Like the inoculated Xenomorph. Look at that thing. Look how fucking rad that thing is. Like you can actually see the skull inside its face, which, I mean, is actually there in every one of these, but I think it's just a creepy detail. But, oh, it's so cool. Oh. God. I adore it. Love it. 10 out of 10, no notes. Yeah, like all the blighted ones I think are pretty rad, just like how much, because I think it's supposed to be like essentially whatever makes up the entities, like blood or whatever, is plasma. It's infused with the monsters. And how the fact everyone has their own version of it is just, oh, so much ooey gooey fun. But I don't think Springtrap has one yet. Yeah, the clown, which is terrifying. Where's one I saw recently? Oh, the Knight. The Knight's a really cool blighted version. Like a jack-o'-lantern knight. It's the Lord Great Pumpkin here to serve Linus in his quest for Halloween shenanigans. Okay. But no, speaking of skins, one thing I've also been enjoying since I've gotten back into the game has been them using skins to go and make the most of other characters. Like, for instance, when they dropped the Resident Evil DLC, we got Wesker and Nemesis. And, it would have been a shame considering how many awesome villains and characters there are in Resident Evil that they just would stop there. But technically they didn't, because like under the Blight, you can get a William Birkin skin. I adore that. Like, what a clever way to combine two characters with similar power sets and allow them to still be a part of the game with unique animations and sounds and all kinds of stuff. Look at that freaking eye. Adore that. And in particular, I like how with like a lot of the more recent killers, like the animatronic, you technically have like 3 different characters in one. A fun detail you see here with it is that it's that they're using a syringe on the back of their neck or something. Yeah, like it's probably where like the Blight kind of like stabbed them. But the animatronic is like my favorite example of this, because like you have like the OG FNAF 3 skin, but you can play as movie Springtrap, which is voiced by Matthew Illard, but Glitchtrap is who I've been going as, and he is fucking creepy in game, regardless of actually in and out of game, and the menus alone. Like here, let me show you what I mean. Like if I was gonna go and play as Killer, I'm going to this now. So, who likes to have jump scares in their menus? I surely didn't when I first bought this guy. That scared the crap out of me. The first night I was playing by myself and setting things up. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. It said random. See? Usually it happens a lot sooner. God. But I adore that. It's little nuances that every character is. Oh, chef's kiss. Anyway, I'm not gonna put you through that too much more. Anyway. But yeah, it's those details like that that I like about Dead by Daylight and that I admire despite all of its faults. And that's really how I don't have to really say about the current state of the game from an aesthetic side of things. I don't think I've been playing enough to kind of ultimately give my full critiques on the what they could do mechanically better. But as a fan of playing these kind of games since 2016, I admire what they're doing, and I can't wait to see what they come with next. Sorry, Phantom. I was wondering if that would make you jump through the roof. I think it was like the longest I've ever brought him up and not see him do one of his jump scares. Like, usually it happens to me like every 15 or 20 seconds. So the fact he took his fucking time getting to that point was kind of funny. Hmm. But I've before I get to my closing comments on all this, if there are any kind of like questions or thoughts people want to bring up now, would be the time to do it. Otherwise, I will say he knew you were filming. Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah, straight up, Glitch Trap knew exactly that I had my eye on him. I would say if there's anything I've really taken away is just how much I've come to appreciate how some games change over time. Like back in 2016-17, I thought Friday the 13th, the game, was going to be like the end all be all with what they had promised us and were doing. And it's amazing to see how much like things could turn out when it comes to words versus actions. Like at the time when I was trying desperately to vouch for Friday the 13th, the game, DBD over the side here is continually improving, adding, spicing up, whereas Friday kept trying to convince me that the same dish they were serving over and over again is okay. That's good. It's gonna be all right. We're gonna keep it up, or we're gonna improve. You just gotta be patient. You gotta wait. We're coming to you. And meanwhile, Dead by Daylight was on the side like Dracula. It wasn't, he was promising me things by doing them, and I can't wait to see how they take this game that's been around for a decade and continue to change it up. Because in a way, if you think about it, whereas I had the privilege to grow up with Pokemon over the years, there are people now who've had the privilege of growing up with Dead by Daylight as horror fans. And that's kind of cool. It's kind of remarkable when you think about it. We haven't gone the route yet of like Overwatch, where they forced us with Overwatch 2 or anything like that. No, they just have kept improving upon the same base game. Now, maybe we'll see, at some point, a Dead by Daylight 2. But I kind of hope we don't. I hope they keep, building upon this current one like they have done with Minecraft or other similar titles. Because I think we're past the day of adding numbers to the front of things. We're now, I think, in this period of really, if you're going to add a number to something else, it's going to be its own entity entirely. It's not just like another chapter. Now, the chapters are part of the same book. Does that make sense? It's like, growing up for me, games were kind of like, really, if you wanted something new, you had to start from scratch and build it. You had to go and put it right next door. But now we're at the point now where things can continuously growing. Almost like we found the magic. It's like building towers. My time, materials we had allowed us to only build towers up to a certain point. If you wanted more of that tower, you had to go next door and build a second tower. Here, they're to a point now where they have the foundation to keep building up higher and higher and higher. The only limitation truly is what people are going to be creating out there in horror. And people are going to think it could always be making new stuff. They're always going to be adding new things, trying out new stuff, new characters, new spins. And that's kind of remarkable. It's kind of exciting. Because it means that we'll never be fresh out of ideas for Dead by Daylight. Who knows? Someday we might see Art the Clown, Longlegs, the monkey from The Monkey. Hell, maybe even the Toxic Avenger popping in one day. And that's fun. That's thrilling. And as a fan, that's exactly how I like my games. That's how I like my horror games. But yeah, that's been my gush. That is what I wanted to kind of express. And I think that's all you have to say for this current topic. And I want to say a quick thank you to everyone who hung out with me tonight. I do love gushing. I'm hoping once things work out, once I get my new basement studio all into place, it won't be pretty, but it'll be functional, which is what's important for me right now. I can start getting some more pre-recorded stuff out again. Because while I feel like I have certainly struggled with the script writing side of things of this whole YouTube endeavor, I've definitely gotten, I think, stronger in talking off the cuff, which I think is what I truly need when it comes to recording new videos. So, and plus, it's not like those scripts are going to go to waste. I have at least 7 pages something on the Terminator. I have at least a page on Alien, and I have sort of fulfilled my promise of doing a Poppy's Playtime one day too. And I think the important thing is for content-wise to this channel is to always keep trying. Behavior, you hear that? That's what you need to do. Keep trying. Keep playing, keep testing, because who knows what the tomorrow may bring. All right. That's enough waxing poetically. You've been hanging out for this long. Cool. Awesome. Love that. Let me know down below what do you think about Haunted by Daylight. Let me know what you think they could do better or how wrong I am. Please, let's have a nice, good conversation. Just tell me all the things I got wrong tonight. That wouldn't, help me out at all. No, not at all. Do it. Give me that. Make the algorithm think I'm awesome. If not, that's okay. It's fine. But if not, that's okay. You always, if you do enjoy hanging out with me, we do try to stream every Tuesday. I'm enjoying streaming twice a night on not Tuesday, Thursdays. Typically from 6:30 to whenever I get done with my streams. You're awesome, Phantom, as well as Lodum, Bracken earlier, as well as Lindo, wherever you went. Hope you're doing great. Hope we get to chat a bit more, especially about Dead by Daylight. And I hope wherever you are due tonight or this weekend, if it's spooky, it's scary, it is October. And either way, take care of yourselves out there. And a quick shout out to my patrons, Sarah, Moody, Wally, Lodum, and hey, look at that, Phantom Pool again. Man, you guys really like me. I do appreciate that, because I don't really put nearly enough on Patreon. Hell, I haven't done anything in a long time. And I don't have any excuse to get better at that. That's all I have to say about that. I should. I'm hoping I need to get really into this better pattern with what I do. Either way, I do appreciate all your patience with me, and I hope you have a great night once again. Take care. Bye-bye. I'm gonna go play some Dead by Daylight.